Well, it's Mutua Madrid Open time, and the big question is, as we all know, following the WTA, is the Iga show going to continue to go on?
The show goes on!
The show goes on with Iga Swiatek going for her 5th title in a row at Madrid, and there's a lot of girls in the field who are going to try and stop her. It's a packed field, even with the withdrawals. So we're going to take a look at quarter by quarter, the breakdowns, the potential first round or the potential quarterfinal matchups, and some very juicy first round matchups. So let's get into all this here on the show. Let's get into it.
Welcome to The Slice.
All right, people, so that's the buzz on the tour. Is Iga Swiatek going to continue her domination of the WTA tour? It's the big question, and from everything we're seeing, we shouldn't expect anything else, other than it's just hard to continually win tennis matches on the professional level, obviously. So it's not going to be a cakewalk by any means, and we're not going to disrespect the rest of the field by saying there's no one capable of stopping Iga Swiatek, but right now it's looking like a pretty daunting task to do it. But I think there are some people up to the task in the draw. So that's for sure. Let's get into it. Before that, quick word from our sponsor, Go Sport. If you are in the market for a new tennis bag, they have men's and women's versions on the Go Sport website. They're the best tennis bags on the market, thoughtfully made by tennis players, and you can get 10% off by clicking the link below. That gets you the best tennis bag and supports the show. So cheers for that. Subscribe, like, make sure you don't miss out on any future videos on the WTA and ATP tours. The first round, Frenzy. There's some juicy matchups in the first round. I'm just going to run through them quickly. We got Muguruza versus Tomailovic, Sakari versus Keys, Fernandez versus Kasatkina, Sorribes Tormo versus Pavlyuchenkova. Always mess that one up. Andreescu versus Risque, and then Sabalenka versus Anisimova. So it's a WTA 1000, Masters 1000. There's always a ton of talent in the draw, but I feel like this was some of the top players who have dropped out of the seedings because of COVID, injury, mental time off. There's even more juicy matchups in the first round than normal. Usually in kind of the second round is where it can really get heated up. Potential quarterfinals. We got Swiatek versus Muguruza. Amazing. Or Sakari versus Danielle Collins, Danimal. Sabalenka versus Pliskova. And then we could have Badosa versus Jabeur, which would be awesome as well. So very solid top 8 seeds here on the WTA. I think the depth, Swiatek's the clear number 1 right now, but then 1 through 8, all of them very, very dangerous and can get it done. So let's take a look at the 4 quarters of the top 4 seeds. And if you've never watched a draw preview of mine before, I'll break it down, see who they could play on the way to the final, and then I'll talk about the dark horse in there and just kind of like the general vibes of the quarter. Sound good? Sounds good. The Swiatek quarter, talent packed. The whole tournament is talent packed, but I think this quarter is ultra talent packed. Maybe because Swiatek is in there. But we got the number 7 seed Garbina Muguruza. Swiatek could play her in the quarterfinals. Emma Raducanu, number 9 seed, could also play her in the quarterfinals. Emma Raducanu, can't not talk about it. She broke up with her coach, so I think she's looking for her 4th coach now. I was there in Stuttgart where they had a good little run, I thought, and he still gets axed. I thought he looked a little bit, the guy, I forget his name right now, he looked like almost anxious on the court, because I knew that she'd gone through these other coaches, so I was like looking at this guy and I was like, it must just be a very uncomfortable place to be in, knowing that you're coaching a girl who has a knack for just letting go of coaches quickly. That's a reputation she's built now. So it happens again. She drops Torben Belts, but she's number 9 seed here at Mutua, and she actually did pretty well on the clay in Stuttgart, so she could be a little potential dark horse for Swiatek there. Another meeting might be interesting. And then Rybakina at number 16 seed. The dark horse for me is Clara Tauson. She's in the middle of that quarter, actually on the bottom half, so Swiatek wouldn't have to play her until the quarterfinals, but that's why she's a dark horse, because she could kind of sneak through that bottom section of that top quarter and potentially do some damage. Up next is the Maria Sakkari quarter, number 4 seed. Tough section for her right off the bat. She plays Keys in the first round, Madison Keys, potential or former US Open champion, and then could play Layla Fernandez of Canada or Kasatkina in the second round. So tough start to this tournament for Sakari. What do we prefer, Sakari or Sakari? Also in her quarter, number 6, Danielle Collins. Number 12, Jessica Pegula. She could play either of those in the quarterfinals if she was to make it there. Or Pavlyuchenkova in the third round. Dark horse for this quarter, definitely our girl, Bianca Andreescu. Friend of the show. If you haven't seen the interview, click here or here. I always forget what side it's on. But she's a dark horse in my opinion because we all know the talent she's got. We all know the game she's got. I saw last week that she can play very well on the clay. She's only played like 7 or 8 matches total in her career on clay. And she can ball on it. She's a very good athlete, mover, and she's on the bottom half of that quarter. So she could, if she gets through risque, she could play Danielle Collins. I don't doubt her to be able to beat her. And then she could kind of move up that bottom section of the top half of the draw, potentially do some damage. So that's why big dark horse for me on Andreescu. Don't want to put pressure on her though, but would love to see it happen. Sabalenka, third quarter. She's the number 3 seed. Kind of a quarter, it's just a middle of the road quarter, I would say, not too crazy. But she does have a tough first round match. She could play, or she will play, Anisimova in the first round. She's also got Karolina Pliskova, number 5 seed, in her quarter, as well as Ostapenko, number 10, and Azarenka, number 15, who she could play in the third round. So kind of just a regular quarter, I would say, middle of the road for what we got in the draw here. Talent packed as always, but nothing extra out of the ordinary. Wouldn't call it the quarter of death. And lastly, the Badoza, world number 2, Badoza quarter. She could play Halep in round 2, so that's pretty insane for her. But she's got Ons Jabeur, number 8, in her quarter as well. And then Bencic is also on the top half, so she could play her in the quarterfinals. And then she has Coco Gauff in her bottom section of that quarter. So Paula Badoza going to feel fresh as the number 2 seed in the world. Does that put extra pressure on her though, to show that and make the final, basically? So I don't know. We'll see how she can prepare. But again, people, the question of the week, the question of the WTA right now is who could stop Iga Swiatek? Looking at her total route, she's playing a qualifier in the first round. Then she plays either Jill Teichmann or Petra Kvitova. So that could be actually interesting. Petra on the clay there. And then she could play a number of people, Rybakina probably Rybakina. And then it's either Muguruza, Sloane Stephens, Raducanu, Clara Towson in the quarterfinals. Semifinals could be Sakari or Collins or Andreescu if the dark horse goes through. It's just a lot of, I like saying all these names. Yes, some of these girls could challenge her, but it's just kind of still hard to imagine someone beating her right now because she's won for so many times in a row. 23 match winning streak. Will it come to an end in Madrid? That's the big question on the WTA side of things. Am I unfairly putting all the spotlight on Iga? Is that unfair? I don't think it can be after winning 4 titles in a row. That's my opinion. That's the slice. What is yours? Leave it in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe and join our channel if you want behind-the-scenes access to some of these tournaments that I'm going to on the ground. Exclusive content only for Europass. Thank you guys for your support. We'll see you next time here on The Slice.